welcome back to another edition of 8-Bit Locals, a series dedicated to promoting vintage game shops in your local gaming community. Today we'll be visiting Replay Games in Houston, Texas, located at the intersection of Yale and East 21st Street in the Greater Heights District, just south off of Highway 610. And I'm gonna be honest, as a native Texan, I usually avoid Houston like it's the plague. I mean, minus the food and some of the architecture that they copied from New Orleans, I honestly don't see what the attraction is to this city. It's dirty, populated by the worst drivers in the United States. The humidity is always like 96% somehow, but by far the biggest problem that pollutes this city is the abundance of Astro fans. I'm not kidding, during my trip to Houston, I went to go walk to a restaurant down the street from my Airbnb, and I stumbled across one of those outdoor garage style bars, and they were showing the Rangers and Astros game. So me and my coworkers stopped by for a couple of minutes to watch the game, and mind you, we're not wearing any Rangers gear whatsoever. And as we started to walk away to go get our food, one of the lovely patrons of the bar told us, yeah, you better keep walking, plus some other profanities that I can't repeat on YouTube. Like, you don't even know what team we were rooting for. We could have been Astros fans, you giant loser. By the way, newsflash, they cheated in the 2017 World Series, like the rest of the world didn't just forget. Bunch of losers. I mean, besides NASA and Paul Wall, I don't know what other accomplishments Houston has to be so proud of. But you can correct me down in the comments, but I don't see it. And I would like to apologize to Dave, the shop owner of Replay Games, for my hostility towards the city of Houston. If it makes you feel any better, your shop is the one beacon of hope that I have to make me return to this humid wasteland. And I know it looks like I'm creeping from around the corner with my shaky footage of Dave, but it's because this man stays busy. He's helping customers while answering the phone and restocking inventory. To somebody like me, that's quite impressive because I get overwhelmed if I put 2 Hot Pockets in the microwave at the same time. And I only got to speak with Dave for a couple of hours while I was at the store, but I could just tell from that short exchange he's someone who actually cares about what you get from your gaming experience. I might have overheard some conversations he had with the customer who was looking for a fighting game. Now, while most people would be like, here, play Tekken 2 and go away, Dave, on the other hand, was able to name multiple games with multiple systems. He even explained why some variations of the same game are more expensive than others. And when you're out shopping for vintage games, you want somebody like Dave who has valuable knowledge from years of experience so you don't waste your time or money. Trust me, you won't get that experience filtering through eBay scams while searching multiple websites and questioning your reality about what's real and what's fake. God, do you remember the intro trailer to Tekken 2? It's like watching a movie that's a fusion of the Terminator, Enter the Dragon, The Matrix, and Rambo. It was quite magical. So yeah, bottom line, Dave's awesome and that's a good enough reason to visit Replay Games, but now, let's focus on the store itself. Honestly, I screwed up by only bringing one memory card for my camera because this place is a little overwhelming. If anything, I felt like a 9-year-old in a candy store, running from display case to display case, pushing my face up against the glass to look at all the colorful and shiny objects. You want to talk about rare and unique merchandise? If Replay Games was listed in the dictionary, that would be the definition of this store. Like, look at this, he has an original complete in-box Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Sega Saturn. Sure, its price tag is scary and almost double the cost of the camera I used to film this video, but this is the first time I have actually seen a copy of this game in person, and if you don't know, it's a cult classic with punishing gameplay and regarded as one of the best underdog RPGs in history. And while I'll never own an original copy of this game, it was a satisfying experience to see one out in the wild. And don't get me wrong, seeing rare games in consoles with crazy price tags is always fun and exciting, but it's sort of the same thing as seeing a Lambo or a Ferrari parked on the street. Yeah, it's cool, but I'll probably never own one, because if I'm being honest with myself, I'll never be the type of collector to throw that kind of money at a singular item, even if I had the extra cash laying around. No, what really did it for me is when I walked by the display case with the Nintendo 64 cartridges, which is definitely more in the ballpark of my price range. I mean, it's literally my childhood neatly stacked and sorted on a single shelf. You have Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros., Pokemon Stadium 2, Pokemon Snap, Star Fox 64, Gauntlet Legends, Pod Racer, Shadow of the Empire, Quest 64, Battle Tanks, and Jet Force Gemini. Seriously, I had to have an internal discussion on whether or not I could handle any more credit card debt so I could take them all home with me. Considering it's been over 2 decades since I've played any of these games and they're all right there, safely locked away behind a 1/4 inch of glass. And I will say, the one thing I have noticed after doing a couple of these videos is what catches my eye more than anything else in a store. It's not flashy neon signs or oversized collectibles. It's always the games with original box art. Think back to your childhood walking down the aisle of a Toys R Us looking for a game, and the first thing you see is the box. The detailed over-the-top artwork, the contrasting colors, the tiny screenshots of gameplay. And little did you know that brief moment of your life is now a core memory in a deep hibernation waiting to resurface 27 years later when you walk into Replay Games and see that same box sitting in this case. But hey, I get it, some people don't care about complete in box or need the nostalgia factor when trying to make a decision about which title to purchase. Some people just want to play the damn game. And you can get that experience at Replay Games because it caters to both collectors and casual players. In fact, I would say about 80% of the store is dedicated to selling games for the average consumer. And who knows, you might even stumble across a title from your past that you completely forgot about. And while this might not be as exciting as a mint copy of Earthbound, if you ever had regrets about throwing out that old Nintendo Power or Game Informer magazine in your early years, not to worry, because this store has you covered with a whole rack of classic game magazines and player guidebooks. They even come with that fresh out of the mailbox smell. And straight up, I wish I had this Oddworld guide when I was 8 because I had no clue what I was doing in that game. And don't pretend like you did either, okay? That game was on an acid trip to Mars. And once again, just to prove to everybody that I'm not a giant freeloader, I did purchase some items when I was in the store. And I'm quite excited about this one. I got a good, working condition Nintendo 64. Because if you didn't know, I'm on a quest to reclaim all of my childhood classic consoles that I traded in to GameStop for a Wii and a couple months of World of Warcraft subscription. And this is the first step back onto that journey. I can check it off the list. Dave even gave me a choice between the classic Nintendo 64 controller, or I could do an even swap with a third-party controller with an upgraded analog stick. He also wanted to throw in the HDMI converter adapter to play on the newer TVs, but I turned it down because I want to roll old school with the AV cables. But thinking about it now, I should have taken him up on that offer, because when I got back home and went to all the Goodwills within a 20-mile radius, none of them had any old TVs with AV inputs, so as for the moment, I'm kind of screwed. And I purchased both of these items for $173.15. And for a good, working condition Nintendo 64, that's the best purchase I've made all year. I can't play it at the moment, but it's worth every penny. But I am super excited. I can't wait to pop in Majora's Mask and pretend like that game doesn't cause me an enormous amount of stress. So if you find yourself in the Houston area, run. Don't walk to Replay Games. And while you're there, strike up a conversation with Dave. He can help you find whatever you're looking for, or you can just talk retro games all day. He's cool like that. Trust me, you won't regret it. And once again, I was not approached by Replay Games to promote their store or make this video, and no money exchanged hands for the creation of this video. I simply do this for fun in my spare time and to help grow the local gaming community. As for me, if I ever return to Houston, I will definitely be stopping by the store again because I need that Batman Forever edition of electronic gaming. Val Kilmer and Jim Carrey? Are you kidding me? That might be the perfect movie.